Okay, so Abhilasha and Scott, can we start?
Sure. We're about one after, so sure, you can get started.
Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm delighted to host today's webinar on autonomous enterprise driving growth and governance using multi-agent AI and wealth management. On behalf of WalkingTree Technologies, thank you for being here. Over the next 45 minutes, we'll explore how wealth management firms can move beyond fragmented intelligence and build coordinated autonomous systems that balance growth with governance. Okay, so let's give everyone a moment to settle in and then we'll get started. So, for those who are new to WalkingTree Technologies, here a quick introduction. We are an AI first digital engineering company helping enterprises build and scale intelligent, data driven solutions using open technologies and advanced Microsoft platforms. With more than 450 professionals across over 21 countries and 11 global offices, we delivered over 550 enterprise solutions across 17 years with deep experience in regulated industries like BFSI and others. Our expertise span cloud, data, AI, and generative AI, enabling organizations to modernize, innovative, and govern with confidence. So we want this session to be interactive. So here is a quick question for the chat. Where do you see the biggest challenge in the wealth management today? Is it investment intelligence, advisor productivity, compliance and risk alignment, or execution efficiency? So we'll revisit your response after later in the session. So on this slide, you can see a snapshot of our core services and solutions. We focus on three main areas. First, Microsoft technology consulting and product implementation, including enterprise platforms, cloud monetization, AI-driven automations, and governance-focused implementations. Second, we spoke data, AI, and generative AI solutions, where we help organizations structure data, operational AI, and drive real business outcomes. Third, AI-assisted digital engineering, covering platform engineering, SaaS, and mobile applications, modernization, DevOps, and advanced simulations. We also offer flexible engagement models such as extended teams, augmentation, offshore development centers, and global capability center to support different client needs. So let me now introduce our expert speakers for today. First, Scott Siebold, Chief Technology Officer at WalkingTree Technologies. With over 30 years of experience building enterprise systems, Scott has worked across product strategy, architecture, engineering, and operations. He'll share how multi-agent architectures make autonomy real at enterprise scale. Joining him, Abhilasha Sena, Senior Solutions Architect at WalkingTree Technologies. With more than 20 years of experience designing complex enterprise platforms, Abhilasha has led several initiatives applying AI and large language models to real world use cases. Our focus is on building systems where intelligence, scale, and governance coexist. Together, they'll guide us through how multi agent AI transforming wealth management. Here's
All
what
right.
we cover in today's session. So, we'll start by
Mhm.
examining why wealth management isn't lacking intelligence but coordination. Then, we'll explore what an autonomous enterprise really means is a regulated environment. Then we'll break down how multi-agents AI coordinates strategy, risk, compliance, and execution. And finally, we look at how organizations can start small, learn, and scale autonomy safely. Okay, so before we move into the deep dive, thank you for taking the time to join us today. Your engagement and participation make this session meaningful, and we appreciate you being here. So that's the roadmap for today. To take us into the technical deep dive on building autonomous enterprise with multi-agent AI. I'll now hand it over to Scott. Scott, please. Please unmute yourself, Scott.
Okay, thank you. Thought I had done that. So just I'll start really with really just kind of a statement here that, wealth management today is it's not broken because, people aren't smart. There's so many good people involved in this field. So the issue is not that it lacks intelligence. It's really broken because the intelligence is scattered, right? So advisors, they see the client, risk teams, they see exposure, compliance sees regulations, and then operations sees execution. So each team is doing the right thing, but they're doing it independently. And when intelligence doesn't coordinate, uh, when intelligence doesn't coordinate, then these things happen, right? Data, decisions, and governance, they live in silos. And this really does is create friction that slows down, the enterprise growth. So what's the cost of this fragmentation and dealing with this work in silos? And when we look at this, it really creates an impossible choice for leadership, right? So on one hand, they want to grow fast, grow and that requires moving fast. So agility, speed, innovation, those type things. And on the other side, you've got the governance, and that tends to slow things down because you want to be compliant, right? So what happens is again, most firms are forced to choose between these two. All right. So again, growth initiatives, they get delayed, the governance becomes more reactive, and then the innovation happens outside the guardrails. That's again not because firms don't care about risk, but because risk is really brought in too late. And this isn't really a technology problem; it's more of an operating model problem. So, and that's kind of where we're going to focus at today is looking at um, the way it's been done with the old model, and then we're going to kind of introduce you to, we think, a new approach here. So, for years we tried to solve this problem through centralized intelligence. So let's just create more dashboards, more controls, more approvals. But centralized systems, they really have a hard limit, right? So they can't scale because of that. So they see everything, but they see it too late. So by the time insights reach the decision makers, the context has already changed because things are moving so fast, right? So markets move, client behavior shifts, regulations evolved, and I think that's even more magnified in today's environment, right, where we have different things like AI introduced. So things move fast, and we've got to be able to get out of those silos and operate in a little different manner. And so, you know, uh, no single system can really um, handle that. Really, no matter how powerful it is, it can't keep up alone. So it needs some help. So that shift really has already begun. And, that's really an interesting part, right? The shift is already happening. Decisions are moving closer to where the data is created, where client interactions happen, and where the risk actually emerges. So, not in one big system, right? But across many different specialized areas. So the question is really no longer, if intelligence becomes distributed, it's whether it becomes coordinated. Okay. And that's what we're going to focus on today is to show you how that can be coordinated. So we want to take this again where context, data, and actions all meet up. And that's where the autonomous enterprise comes into play. And so what I'm going to do is introduce you to the idea and the concepts of autonomous enterprise. And then Abhilasha is going to take you through kind of the architecture we're talking about, some of the technical details, but then also bring up a demo for you to show you how we think we've solved this issue. Okay, so autonomous enterprise, right? So what does it take to be what does a better model look like, right? So it's not just a bigger brain, but it's going to require many intelligent agents. And that's what we're going to kind of introduce you to today is that more agentic approach to solving this problem. And really each of these agents will operate autonomously, but yet they'll be aligned by shared objectives. Okay. And when we talk about that, right, all this distributed intelligence, it's got to be coordinated. So it's got to have an orchestration, what we call an orchestration layer, and then we're going to control that as well with built-in governance. So an enterprise doesn't wait for insight, but it acts on it in a safe, continuous, and at scale. So, what does autonomous really mean, right? Autonomous enterprise, it's aware. So when we talk about being aware, it understands the context in real time. It's also aligned. So every action is guided by shared goals and policies. And then it's also accountable. So every decision, it's observable, it's explainable, it's governed. And this isn't removing control, it's really embedding the control within the whole process. So, not every industry needs this kind of model, but certainly wealth management does. And because those decisions are they're high touch, the risk is continuous, and then also the trust is really a non-negotiable, right? So you can't automate blindly, but you also can't scale manually. So this is why wealth management needs autonomy and governance built in to the whole system. Okay, so what makes this possible now, right? So why weren't we already doing it? Well, now we have multi-agent AI. So instead of one big monolithic system trying to do everything or having these silos in place, you've got multiple intelligent agents, and each of these agents are focused on a specific responsibility. So one for client insights, one for risk, one for compliance, one for operations. They all operate independently, but they don't operate alone in this environment. So there's orchestration, there's coordination. Sorry, there's coordination between all of them, right, via the orchestrator. So what we're going to show you is our platform for solving this problem. And we're going to start with that by letting Abhilasha talk a little bit about the architecture of it, and then actually the best way to show you is just to kind of create a demo and show you a demo of our platform that we think solves this issue. So Abhilasha, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, hope my screen is visible.
It is.
Okay, thank you. So as we are talking about autonomous enterprise and the platform which Scott mentioned, so we call it AlphaTree, and it is the agentic AI powered autonomous framework which puts this into action, wherein we have turned the stacks of financial capabilities into a coordinated mesh of specialized agents which work together, and each one like acting as a co-pilot for an analyst or an investor. And these agents work together, reason, and bring in explainable insights which are fast, which are more clear, and which bring in more proactive client service, which also are scalable because obviously it's the system's autonomy which is bringing in this action. So it's much more scalable. So finally, it delivers advice at the speed of the market. It can shoot and bring in that speed with the necessary guardrails for the compliance. So you can define your rules so that you can bring in the governance part of it. And then finally, all this put together gives the required results. So with this, we will jump on to the demo. So, and the demo, what we've planned today is not more like a framework, but as a day in the life of a relationship manager. So we start, the relationship manager starts his day logging into AlphaTree. So to start with, what would he look for? So he would look for what went on in the market while he was like away, and he's getting started for the day. So we have this morning digest, which is a personalized market brief, which brings together the summary of the market, the specialized insights and reports he would want to include for his specific client needs, any recommendations which got generated based on the research which happened the previous day or even the last week, and any such specialized upcoming IPOs or key news events. So basically, a summary which is ready to use and still not fully, you can say, fully leaving it to the system, because you can edit it if you want. So the relationship manager can edit it, and if he, as he is satisfied, he can just publish it and it becomes available for his clients. So this is how he starts his day. So he's already got a head start because he doesn't go looking at different places collecting this information. Next, we go on to the strategy and idea generation. So the relationship manager or the investment analyst would be working on different strategies and how different sources imply on that strategy, right? So that's where we bring in our coordinated intelligent agents, which work together. So this is a simple strategy which we see here, and of course we have different aspects which can be defined by the relationship manager as he defines a new strategy. So he can give in his requirements here and then define the strategy, and then that gets executed in the background, and we have the multiple agents analyze the same strategy in different aspects. For example, the fundamental agent would look into so here, as the ideas are generated for the strategy, for each idea we get to see the full report of the different agents coming in play, each giving their insight and the key parameters. So the risk agent would bring in the risk aspects, the volatility. The technical agent would talk about the momentum and the chart patterns. The fundamental agent would look at the company strength, the fundamentals, the growth aspects, and sentiment agent would look at the ongoing news. And then all this would consolidate and give their final verdict. Now, again, this is the first level where agent is bringing in the information and it is presented to the RM. RM reviews it, and then he can take it forward. So he could approve it by giving his commentary, adding on to why he agrees with the idea and approving it, and then he can recommend it to a customer. So then this idea becomes available to the customer with the comments given by the relationship manager. So this is the second aspect of the RM's day, where he is working on strategies, pulling out ideas and publishing it to his clients, and he can do this again at a much more speed because he has all the information at his disposal. Moving on, the next aspect of it is, of course, we've got the strategy, but then he would want to analyze the portfolios of his existing customers and maybe come up with suggestions on what can be improved there. So for that, as we have this like one of the portfolios, so we have, and along with the guardrails part. So this is where you can actually have the relationship manager or the client himself define the limits and the guardrails on the portfolio, which is taken into consideration when the analysis is done. and the ideas are generated for the portfolio. So here is where you can see the AI recommendations of what could have been better in this portfolio. So as you can see, like maybe reduce exposure to IT because there's a lot of there's a lot of IT stocks, rebalance sector allocations, and then additionally, so this part of it is available to the client also, and additionally, they can also schedule a meeting with the RM through this. So, or the RM can schedule a meeting with the customer. So, if the RM wants is like agrees to the suggestion and wants to take it forward with the customer, so you can directly schedule the review here. And this is where the AI gives like the target allocation, what should be based on whatever is the risk profile of the customer, the guardrails, and also an overall summary. Sorry. So this is the third aspect of the like different activities of RM's day. Finally, like the most common thing, but the most important thing is being able or being available for the client 24/7. So obviously that is not possible for a human RM. But then through this, we have the system available for the customer 24/7. And for that, I'll just log in as a client and so as a client, I can go into the communication center and I can raise a question of like these, it could be related to a portfolio. It could be just a question about the stock. It could be about something urgent and it needs immediate attention by the RM or a general inquiry. So if I raise query here. So again here, as the chat agent comes into action, like there are multiple agents in the background which will work and give the response immediately for the customer to be able to see. So all the conversations will appear here and be available. Now, this is how we bring in the 24/7 availability of the RM for the client. And then later on, the client can go on and like review the response. So yeah, so this is how the agent has like the different agents which came into picture internally. So we have like a group of agents working together, giving their individual analysis and then a summary of what they feel about this customer, about this stock. Sorry. Now, again, since this is an AI generated response, so the RM can always go and review these responses and add on to that if they want to say add any insights from their side. And that's where we bring in the human oversight and avoiding like everything is fully visible and transparent to the different entities who are involved, the different stakeholders, making it very compliant and scalable. So yeah, so with this, we see like how an autonomous enterprise is actually working in practice where different aspects of the flow are automated. So the automation is not only for speed, it is for coordination with confidence. And this is how it lets the wealth managers and the investment analysts to be able to scale their insights without bringing in any risk because they have a complete control and an oversight on the system. So with that, yeah, let me go back to the. So yeah, we saw the demo and we got a feel of what the autonomous enterprise is doing. Now this slide is just to give you a snapshot of how the multi-agent intelligent shows up at different aspects of the life cycle of an equity investment research, starting from the discovery and scouting to the fundamental and technical analysis, then looking at the macro and sentiment analysis, moving on to working with the strategy, synthesis, and the governance, the guardrails aspect of it, taking care of the risk and compliance for this industry, and finally making sure that the execution is seamless and the feedback is taken so that the system continues to improve and like everything put together orchestrates and gives the required performance. So that's how we have different coordinating components working together, bringing in one decision loop and making it like evolve naturally. So that's how autonomous enterprises are built. So when we are talking about intelligence is autonomous, we are using this word autonomous and coordinated. What happens? Obviously, the growth stops fighting the system. It becomes natural because everybody is focused on relationships. It's more about opportunities which come on proactively because everything is so clear. You have the visibility of the signals, you have scalable advice models, and then you don't have to worry about the governance aspect because that's the balance we were talking about earlier, right? So we get the growth aspect and we are confident of the governance aspect also. We are, because everything is under the compliance we have defined, everything is explainable, so we have the complete audit trail of whatever is happening in the system, and we have the human oversight, and finally we are not losing on time also because everything is real time. So this all becomes like a natural growth element which becomes the byproduct of this good design. So finally, why now? And for that, there are three aspects. Like now, we are at a level where the data is mature. We have, like we started off with say cloud and data lakes, and today we are sitting at the semantic layer where we talk in natural language and the systems are smart to understand. We can build knowledge graph with whatever data we have. So we can build complicated graphs, bringing in that knowledge to our model and making use of that knowledge graph to get sense out of it, to make value out of it. And then on top of it, so we have the data, we have the regulations in place because we can define the guardrails. We have the basic AI governance framework, which defines the main aspects of any such enterprise AI solution. And with all this in place, the most important aspect, which has matured to the level which we are sitting on today, which started off with the LLMs and the generative AI, and how that has evolved to the today's multi-agent orchestration, where every agent is a specialist and working on one role and doing it so well that it adds value and builds in that completely intelligent and autonomous system which we can rely upon, and which helps us build the trust and confidence in the system. So that's why we can say that it is not experimental anymore. If we know what we want, it is enterprise ready. And of course, we'll all think now, how should we begin? So one thing is very important to understand, that this is not something which will be just switched on. It has to be it has to be a slow and steady process. It cannot be just a rip and replace. They have to start, like firms have to start small, identify a focused domain, a focused problem, define their agents clearly, let them learn and mature with their tasks, and along with the clear boundaries, the guardrails. That is very important aspect to bring in the governance. Finally, have the visibility of what is going on. With visibility and control, confidence automatically builds. And that's how autonomy can grow with this trusted system. So the trust in the system is very important. So autonomy is definitely the advantage of today. Like from years we've been talking from like we started off with the scale of the which clouds brought, and then there was a lot of chatter about the power of data, but then all that is now going to be put to use. So now is the time when we can actually bring in the intelligence and innovate, see how intelligently and responsibly we act, making use of all this data to empower our teams, to bring in the element of innovation, having the goals clearly defined, so that with the with the governance, with the clear definition of goals and guidelines, we are clearly working towards the growth. We can see that we are building enterprises that will think, adapt, and govern, all with caution, control, and continuous consistency. So, with that, we are coming to the end of this webinar. But then I just want to leave with one question for each of your enterprises. Like, where do you think that this autonomous coordination can create the most value? What is that one use case or one domain where you think that this can bring in the value? And that is the key element to decide. That's where we can start the transformation journey. And trust me, like, once you start with that journey, you can build the trust and you can build an autonomous enterprise. So thank you. And with that, we can take any question answers if we have. So you can put your questions on the chat.
All right. So Abhilasha, we can probably wrap that up. I'll just say a quick final word. If you've got any questions about autonomous enterprise, any questions about WalkingTree, there's QR codes in this deck or on your screen there. You can also go to WalkingTree.tech and feel free to reach out to us. So we'll be glad to answer any questions or help you on your journey.
Yeah, so Scott, there are a few questions coming up.
Oh, there are. Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
So how is sensitive financial and client data handled across multiple agents, and what controls are in place to prevent data leak or bias? So that would be definitely like the way we store the data. That is something as per the needs of the compliance requirements of the customer. So it would be on a restricted cloud with the required like security as access. So as we saw, like there'll be a role-based access on whatever data is being handled, where like whatever is to be seen by the relationship manager and the investment analyst will be only visible to them. So the role-based access control with a complete control of whatever data is going in. Also, if we are like, as you mentioned, sensitive financial and client data, so there'll be the required encryption when we are storing any kind of PII data. So that is being taken care. From a business perspective, where have you seen the fastest ROI, risk management, portfolio optimization, compliance, or customer engagement? Okay, fastest ROI. So I would say like to make you, so two things mainly I would say. If customer engagement, definitely, because you're available for the customer, and then with by being able to like give the morning newsletters well in time and very accurate. So that customer engagement is one important aspect of bringing in that differentiator in the value which we are able to create. And the second aspect would be the portfolio optimization as well, because that is again something which can be speeded up, and you can bring in the scale which can impact the ROI. So any other questions?
No, Abhilasha, that's it. Okay. So a big thank you to our expert speakers, Scott and Abhilasha, for the deep insights and real world perspectives they shared today. And of course, thank you to all of you who joined us. Your participation made this session truly valuable. Until next time, stay innovative and we'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.